Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our monthly ACE meetup. Today's topic is content collaboration, and we have the ever so wonderful Charlie Brinson here to give us some extra tips and tricks that you may not be taking advantage of yet. And then, of course, we're going to dive into the cloud Q&A with the rest of the panelists. So as always, feel free to start typing your questions in at any point throughout the presentation. And for any future state or roadmap questions that we may not be able to address here, don't forget that you can always reach out to your customer success manager for more information. We also typically get questions about the recording. So yes, you will be able to access the recording at the bottom of the registration page in about a week or so. So without further ado, take it away, Charlie.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. So definitely looking forward to the Ask the Cloud Experts. I've watched a few of the previous ones, learned a lot, even working at Citrix and knowing a lot about the products. It's been super helpful of watching some of the past ones, which I'm pretty sure are available as well. So that's awesome. So today we're going to be covering a lot of the content collaboration. Y'all may know it as ShareFile. That's what it has been known as since I think like the mid-2000s, something like that. I started back in 2013, so I've seen a lot of changes over the past 6 years, as everything's been going through. But what I'm going to do today is kind of walk you guys through 3 things that you should know about content collaboration, aka ShareFile. So let's go and switch over to this next one. All right. So I made the joke, the artist formerly known as ShareFile. It kind of transitioned from the name. There are a few people who are calling it Citrix Files, just because that's what the apps that most people are accessing on mobile, desktop, as well as on the web. You'll see the files within the Workspace app. But the 3 things that we're going to be covering today are going to be connectors, file type association, and e-signature. Connectors is going to be really big for mobilizing the network shares and the SharePoint on-prem deployments that a lot of customers already have. All of that existing infrastructure that's already on-prem that's been really difficult for people to be able to access. And then the other side is going to be taking the cloud repositories, take Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, OneDrive for Business, and being able to access everything in a single location. The next part, file type association, we're going to be covering, how to be able to open up some of the different files that you have from the Workspace app within a Citrix virtual app that you've deployed with the FTA. And then the last part is going to be kind of bumping back into the web application, walking through the e-signature application, or e-signature product called Right Signature. We'll be covering, how to send a document, directly from the file structure, and then applying some template overlays on, documents for maybe a more of a one-to-many approach. So really, the connectors are all about, mobilizing that data. It's been very difficult for people to be able to get the data. I think about my dad who, works from home, Friday, or like mainly Fridays, some Saturdays and Sundays, but he's having a VPN in to be able to access some of that content. It makes it very difficult and takes up a lot of company resources. It's difficult on the end user and then also on the infrastructure to be able to, require an entire VPN or a virtual session just to access a single file. So by being able to present some of that data within ShareFile, it's going to make it a lot easier on your end users. It's also going to make it a lot easier on your infrastructure to not have to require as much as spun up. On the other side, from the end user perspective, it's really giving companies that ability to give a single pane of glass to their end users. So that way they don't have to have 7 different applications installed or log into 7 different sites to be able to access all their data. It's all located in a single spot, and it's going to end up making things just simple for the user. Really, from the training and the education perspective of the end users that you're pushing out to, you're teaching them 1 product instead of 7. And just makes that, audit and access a lot easier.
So one of the big things with the connectors is just the ability to mobilize network shares and SharePoint on-prem deployments that you already have, as well as also being able to consolidate, your end users being able to access all their various cloud repositories in a single location. So we're going to start off with the view coming in from the ShareFile network shares, as well as the web app view of what you would be able to see from it. So from a user who logs in, we're going to use Creed here because he's one of my favorite characters. is the ability to come in and from your folders section, be able to view everything from your personal folders, your shared folders. I've given Creed access to Box, Network Shares, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive for Business. It's tough to say because there are a lot of them, but from the Network Shares view, Creed has access to his home drive as well as a team shared drive. So he's going to go ahead and just click on home drive. If he hasn't passed through authentication before, it's going to go and give him a 401 auth prompt where he basically, enters in his username and his password, or his domain whack username and then password, and it's going to go and pass them through into his drive. He can come into his files folder and be able to access any files that he's done before, whether it's, to come in here to download it, to share it, to give a preview, just giving him the full functionality of what he would need from the network share, regardless of whether he's inside or outside the network. So he can go ahead and choose to share this file, email it out to somebody securely, or get a link, allowing him to go ahead and take that file, putting it on ShareFile, allowing him to use the same sharing capabilities he has within ShareFile to control the amount of downloads, who can access it, is it password protected, a variety of different ways to be able to do it. He can also do the same thing from utilizing OneDrive for Business. A lot of the companies that we talk to are already making that move to Office 365. So it gives you the ability to consolidate all of your different data for the users into a single place. So the same reference architecture that we were seeing here, we can also have those same functionalities. Click on it, it's going to go ahead and render for a preview, allowing him to be able to go in, take a look at the document, all from that ShareFile interface. So this is a document stored on OneDrive, and he can be able to come in here and view it, flip through pages, be able to have a full view of what's going on. So really a nice, easy way to do it from the web. But personally, I like to do the File Explorer. It allows me the ability to go ahead and have that same functionality, but it adds in, I can use native applications. So I've got my paper drive, my home drive here. When I come into this folder, I can access files. I can have files downloaded in offline cache, and I can also be able to go ahead and use that native application to pop it open and be able to access it. Always it opens up on my different monitors. Let me go and drag that over here. And from this location, I can come in, be able to move some items around, make some edits, and we'll go ahead and unbold that. Actually, I want to leave that bolded. We'll save it, and it's going to go ahead and push that change back into network share. Admins have the ability to go ahead and enable check-in, check-out. So if your local network share supports a checkout or read-only functionality, you can also be able to do that through the network share connectors. The same functionality is going to exist with all the different repositories that you have. It separates out between personal cloud, network shares, and Office 365. But just as we saw on the web, we have the same view of these files that are going to be stored here. Again, I could be able to open it up with the native application if I wanted to and go ahead and make the changes I need. Really a full kind of functioning aspect of being able to access all of your documents from a single place and utilize the native applications. The next stage is really, accessing these files on the go. So with the ShareFile application, which I guess is now called Citrix Files for Android or iOS, you can be able to come in here, access the different files that you need. We're again logged in as Creed, so we've got access to the network shares to OneDrive for Business. When I click on the network shares, same view, click on home drive, I can be able to come in here and have the same access to the files I need. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the same reference architecture file. It's going to go ahead and pull it down, and I'm going to move it over to the side view, so it may be a little jumpy on the screen. There we go. But I can come in, be able to go ahead and do a couple different things, from making this file available offline. I can go into an edit mode if I need to. I could actually do a whole slideshow if I wanted to, allowing me to be able to go ahead and, if I'm sitting at coffee with a client, I can bust out this reference architecture, walk them through, have a technical conversation from the phone without even requiring, a projector or anything. A lot of this is more of that on-the-go mentality. But if I pop into the edit mode, I can come in here and maybe I want to put a little note to myself that says, change this, and I'm not very good at writing on the small tablet. I'm more used to the pen. And I can go ahead and make that change, do things that I need to. I'm going to go ahead and back out of this and save it. And now that new document with the very, very poorly written word change is going to appear there, so I can be able to access it from all my different locations if I need to. really making a full-fledged view of what you need, both on the network shares, both on Office 365, just giving that same view across the board.
So really, being able to access all these different, types of connectors, all in that single place, whether it's your mobile device, whether it's your computer, your laptop, your desktop, a virtual machine, the Workspace app, it's going to give your users that single pane of glass that they're looking for, and they'll be able to do their work a lot easier. So the next bullet point that we're going to be covering in the next little tip is file type association within the Workspace application. So, I don't know how many of you have actually gone out and deployed the Workspace app. I'm hoping a lot because I use it on a daily basis and I love it. Is the ability to be able to designate certain file types, whether it's Word documents, the common Office documents, to be able to go ahead and open up with a virtual app. So really, with this file type association, it's all done by the admin on the back end. So within Studio, all you'll do is go to the application that you want to be able to deliver it with, be able to associate it with a file type. And for this screenshot that we're seeing here is going to be just for the doc files. I didn't really put in all the other file types, but I just wanted to go ahead and open up the DOC files to be able to have them open up within the app. We recommend setting a session lingering value. That way, it gives your users enough time where if they open it up and then quickly close it, or the application closes really, fairly quickly, it allows that enough time to be able to be saved within ShareFile, or content collaboration as we're calling it. So really, the step here is kind of a visual from Studio. When you're in the actual app, you'll be accessing the Word, and then we'll pop in and be able to adjust it from the file type association. Users must have licenses of Citrix Content Collaboration and Citrix Virtual Apps to be able to do it. And so within the Workspace app, the users are basically selecting the file. And as you can see, there's an additional button that doesn't show up with the normal share file or content collaboration functionality, which is open. And so the open actually is going to go ahead and take it into this published app. It also works when you click on the file to be able to go ahead and open up. If there isn't a published app or a file type association with that type, it's just going to go ahead and open up in the regular preview mode that most people are used to within the application. You have the option to right-click, or also if you're in the preview window, which I'm going to show in the next slide, goes ahead and allows you to go ahead and open it up. And you'll see, I'm sure you've already seen these dogs on the presentation, but you'll be seeing these throughout the course of the time. It's Cash and Law, they're fantastic. But this will go ahead and open up in the virtual app. And on the next slide, you can see we've got the app from over here, and now it's going to be opening up in that virtual app session. So that way I can be able to make edits, be able to go ahead and do whatever I need, and then save that file directly back. And the third tip that we're going to be doing is Citrix Write Signature. So Write Signature is one of the features that comes with the ShareFile Premium SKU, and it allows you to be able to go ahead and send documents directly from your ShareFile or content collaboration interface on the web to third parties to go ahead or internal parties if you need to get documents signed. So it saves a lot of time because it doesn't require, two different, accounts. It's all tied to the same username and password. So when a user is going to go ahead and open up a file, it goes ahead and takes it open, sends it over into Write Signature, allows the user to start sending the documents directly from there. So that way you can use your existing folder structure within ShareFile or Content Collaboration, and then you can also be able to go ahead and take files and they save back into it. We've got mobile applications, so if you want to be able to kind of put together whether it's just a kind of a one-on-one where you're meeting with someone, or maybe like a kiosk mode where you want to be able to get things signed, it gives you the ability to go ahead and do that. So that way you could be able to use styluses, you could do a lot more functionality within your current environment, more of a kind of a point of sale or point of purchase kind of thing. We also go ahead and leverage the Stripe integration, and it helps process payments and collect credit card information securely directly through the interface.
Let's dive into Citrix Write Signature a little bit. What this is going to do is just be an easy way for your end users, as well as also your admins, to be able to send out documents easily to the third parties right through the ShareFile or Citrix Content Collaboration interface. really just an easy way to be able to get the documents out that you need without having to go to, you know, like a whole nother tool to be able to do it. So right from my ShareFile account, I can be able to pop into my employee folders. On this one, we're actually going to try to hire Ron Swanson over into the Dunder Mifflin account. So what we can do is directly in his folder to send a non-compete to make sure he doesn't leave for another paper company, go ahead and grab the non-compete agreement that is basically a blank NCA form. All we're going to do is right-click and choose Send for Signature. What this will do is go ahead and automatically load and authenticate the user over into the Right Signature interface. So it directly passes them through, takes the document, allows you to prepare it. You can add in some other files if you need to. For this one, I'm just going to do a single file. I click Prepare Document. I'm going to go ahead and start typing some information, and I've actually sent Ron some information before on this account. So he's going to pull up both as a recent contact on Right Signature, as well as I've got an integration tied in with ShareFile. So I could be able to go ahead and select this. It fills out the information. If it's a document that I needed, you know, a couple people to sign, I could also be able to go ahead and, you know, add in multiple signers, set the order. But honestly, I just want to, you know, have Ron be the person who signs it. So from here, I'll click Next to place the fields. And really, it's just as easy. I mean, this is the document with an overlay where we're going to apply all the different fields he needs to fill out. So for the text field, I'll come in and drop the field in. I'm going to adjust it a little bit just so it looks, you know, a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. We'll keep on adding some text fields into the different areas. That one did not want to go. Looks like I'm going to have to manually do that one. Normally, our field detection is going to go ahead and look for lines. I think I may have used a font that was a little too small in this. There it goes. So we can pop those in there, include all this information. But typically, you know, a lot of the documents I send are the same document over and over again. Partly because of demos, but most of the people that I talk to, you know, that are using ShareFile and Right Signature, a lot of the stuff they have is a one-to-many approach. So they could be able to take a template, go ahead and create it in advance, and be able to go ahead and allow their end users to be able to leverage that template. You could create a one-off template that you would need to send to somebody, but from here, I'm going to go ahead and select the template. It's going to go ahead and fill out all the fields for me that I've already pre-created, and also allow me to choose a signer. So I'm going to go ahead and import that in. And one thing I did on this template was go ahead and put in a space where I can sign my own name. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in my name, and I'm going to clear that because that was a really bad signature. My mouse kind of jumped. I'm going to go ahead and apply that. It's going to go ahead and go in and drop my signature down in the box for the employee's signature. The next step, you know, everything's already kind of been pre-created for me on my template. I've already got all the different options that, you know, he could select for his role in the organization. He's definitely going to be the assistant to the assistant regional manager. And really from there, you know, it's ready to be sent out. So I click Next to Review. At this point, I can go ahead and add a passcode in. I like to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not super secure, but you could be able to, you know, use any passcode or any PIN code for your end users of the 5 digits. And I'm going to go ahead and make it so he has to sign this in the next 7 days before it expires. I'm going to go ahead and also do a tag name for this. So we'll do NCA and we'll say Ron Swanson to make it easily searchable. And then at this point, I could customize it, CC anybody I want, add a personal message to let Ron know why he's signing it. And then the next step, I just go ahead and press send. So from here, it starts off with a history of, you know, Creed sent this document from this IP address. And the next step is really for the end user or the recipient to go ahead and click in there and access the document. So we'll pop over to webmail. Ron's going to go ahead and, you know, check his messages, being that if it was a good email platform, he could probably open it up really quick. So we'll go here. It opens up. We have custom branding on the account. You have, you know, information, a reference number, when the expiration date is, who sent it, even a picture of Creed on here, which is awesome. And then all he has to do is click Review and Sign Document. He'll have that PIN code, you know, however you get it to him, whether it's through the content collaboration, you know, encrypted email that ShareFile offers. You could text it to him, call him, whatever you want to do. Once you unlock it, it's going to go ahead and allow him to take a quick tutorial. The first one, you know, the red flags, the areas he needs to complete. You know, once he's finished all the fields, okay, we can be able to submit it. Awesome. So we'll come in here, and so this is between Ron Swanson. We'll go ahead and say this is the 20th of September, and 2019 will come in. He's definitely doing the assistant to the assistant regional manager, and then all he has to do is come in here and sign it. So hopefully Ron's signature will be good. I'm not really good at doing it. There we go. He could also type the sign if he doesn't want to use this. Then he submits the signature. He's also going to agree to the e-sign consent form, which was what Bill Clinton pushed through as the e-sign bill or e-sign act back in 2000. Once he submits it, the document goes ahead and processes. The finalized version will be stored in Right Signature. He can also download a completed version of that as well as a certificate. And this certificate is going to go ahead and give the full view of everything that happened on the document from when it was sent to when it was executed. Was there a passcode enabled? The checksum, which is like a file fingerprint, the original version, then the signed version, and basically all the things that can be able to make this legally binding and hold up in court. So, what IP address it came from, the device. Since I'm sending it from the same computer, it's going to be the same IP address. That way you can be able to tell what's going on. Just give you a little bit more control on that document and being able to do something after the fact. From the actual person who sent it, they'll be able to come over into their account. They'll be getting notifications that, documents are being sent. They can also be able to view the entire history of that document and even be able to download those, completed and signature certificates. We take it one step further. So here's the original folder I sent it from. As soon as that document gets signed, it's automatically saved back into my ShareFile account without any kind of like intervention from me. It just is through the API. It saves back. I have a completed version of it with a -signed.pdf appended to it. So it's going to go ahead and load up and allow me to be able to view that document in the customer portal. And then I can also be able to go back over and have a quick access to be able to find the signed document just by coming over, clicking view, and it's going to go ahead and take me into it once I actually click view to be able to go ahead and access that entire process of what happened, viewing the history, downloading everything, and just giving you a little bit more ability to quickly access it. But just making things easier, on yourself, on your end users, being able to put everything in a single solution to be able to send those documents is going to be key for everyone.
And so Right Signature also allows for the one-to-many document signing. This is, hey, you have one document that you need to get signed by a whole lot of people. You can be able to embed the documents to be signed on your company's website or intranet. A lot of the companies I'm talking to who are doing this are leveraging this for some, internal HR documents need to be signed, that they don't want to send it out to, all 300 or 1,000 people to get the document signed. They post it on the intranet, and then people go to a secure location, fill out the form, and then it goes ahead and saves back. You can also be able to share just a link to a template. That way, if you want to be able to put it in maybe an HR email as you're sending out, a new hire onboarding packet, whenever they click on the link, it takes them directly to that template where they fill out. You can also be able to do some email verification or text message verification to be able to make sure that, the user is who they say they are. Additionally, you can also leverage Citrix Podio with the Globiflow automation, and that allows you to be able to go ahead and reference some low-code, no-code API calls to go ahead and push out documents for signature directly from Podio to save back in ShareFile. There are all sorts of different things you can do with it. It's pretty much, whatever you can think of, flow-wise, you can be able to do. On top of that, we also have an open API. So if you want to be able to embed this functionality in your own products or programs, you can be able to leverage the Right Signature API, which comes with the license, to be able to go ahead and have some more functionality into it. But just want to thank you guys for your time today. And Michelle, take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Charlie. A couple of quick reminders before we start running through the questions. First, don't forget to check out the new and improved Cloud Success Center. This is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your cloud resources, including expert-led videos, prerequisite checklists, build guides, testimonials, anything that you could think of. Everything's going to be housed in that Cloud Success Center. And then second, don't forget to register for our October 8th meetup, where we actually are moving away from the specific topics. So we're going to focus on more of that generic cloud Q&A. We will still have the presentation, but we just want to make sure that we have a platform for any and all cloud questions. And now, the part you have all been waiting for. So joining Charlie today on our expert panel, we have Michael McAndrew, a technical support engineer, Brian Galetta, a lead customer success engineer, and Louis Jocelyn, a digital pre-sales engineer. So let's go ahead and dive into the questions. All right, so first question, we'll send this one over to Michael. So is it possible to force Citrix files for Windows to only show certain folders to my end users?
Yes, you can. With mount points, you can specify a Citrix files folder to mount as a network drive. You can specify up to 10 mount points. Those mount points can be configured through the group policy editor. And to create a mount point, you would specify the Citrix files folder by the path to the folder, separated by a / character. In some cases, the top-level folder name may vary across user types and across different end-user languages. In those cases, you can create a mount point using a wildcard alias. And I'll post that link to that article in the chat.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Michael. Next up, over to Louis. How can we back up our cloud to a file server to protect our data should we experience an outage?
So what we recommend is to do this at a user basis, to have your individual users install the Citrix Files app, where you can individually choose folders and files to be available offline, so that should you experience a network outage, your most important files are still available to you, so you can work on those. So as soon as your network goes back up, those will sync back up to the cloud for you.
Great, thank you so much. All right, so going back to Charlie, our ShareFile admin team has noticed the versions of the tools are always changing, but not sure what has changed until we install it. Where can we learn more about the releases before we push them out to our end users?
Oh, great question. So there's actually a couple different places you can do it. There's the normal Citrix eDocs site, which includes the what's new with all the installs within the eDocs. So wherever you're going to be, accessing the information or some of the MSI downloads, totally can be able to grab it from there. The other side is releasenotes.sharefile.com, and so that's really just a URL it kind of just sends you over to the ShareFile community. And so all the product managers will actually post in there. You can be able to post questions, new features, basically anything that you have, requests for enhancements. And the product team basically goes in there, takes a look at it. But it's just a great resource, and you can sign up on an RSS feed to be able to get that information sent to your email if you want to.
Perfect. Thanks, Charlie.
Sure.
Next up, we'll send it over to Brian. What are the best practices for deploying the Outlook integration with ShareFile?
Yeah, so the Citrix Files for Outlook client is probably our most popular client. It integrates really well with single sign-on solutions, so a user simply logs on to Outlook and they're immediately logged into their ShareFile or Content Collaboration account. The admins can specify settings to where attachments always get converted to links. And when they deploy the client, you can use custom registry settings to make it such that the users don't have to really interact at all, and it just works.
Awesome, and we have another Outlook plugin question. So we'll send this one to Charlie. We have a lot of users that love the Outlook plugin, but we want to make sure that everyone is always sending links that require a password. Is that possible?
Absolutely. So from the admin perspective, you can just log into the admin settings on the web app, go to Advanced Preferences, and enable ShareFile Tools. There's going to be a section underneath the Outlook integration that says Configure Outlook Plugin, and it allows you as an admin to be able to set the default for every user on the account, or even enforce it so that way they can't be changed across it. So if they do log in on their individual machine, it's going to be grayed out so they won't be able to make adjustments.
All right, perfect. So kind of along the same lines, but not really. We'll send this one to Louis. What if a file was sent to the wrong person, or we're concerned that an attachment might be intercepted? How can we ensure that the file is not able to be accessed?
Good question. So there's actually several ways you can do that depending on how you've sent the file. If you've done it through the web app, all links you create or all emails through the web app that you've sent, you'll be able to see them in your sent messages, which when you expand your inbox in the web app, you'll see sent messages. You'll see all links there. You can actually expire the links from there. You can also, if you've generated a link from a file in the cloud, you can actually just delete that file and the link will no longer work. Or if you've actually sent it with the Outlook plugin client, you can see the sent message in your sent messages there, and at the top you'll see a little banner with a button that says revoke access. When you click that, that'll expire the link and it can no longer be accessed.
Awesome. All right, so going back to Michael, what are some best practices when deploying on-premises storage zones?
Great question. First thing, we always recommend configuring at least one secondary storage zone controller for load balancing and redundancy purposes. We also always recommend placing your share file data on a server that's separate from your storage zone controllers for redundancy purposes. For maximum security, use Citrix ADC or Citrix ADC VPX. In an enterprise environment where the network share for a storage zone is already secured by third-party tools, we recommend you do not encrypt the files on the share. Although this additional security is offered as an option for maximum security when required, encrypting files on the share will make the disk unreadable by third-party tools such as antivirus scanners and filer tools. ShareFile uses a file encryption key to confirm the validity of download requests and encrypts its storage.
All right, perfect. So this one we'll send back to Charlie. Can you currently embed any other functions of Citrix files on an intranet page without API work, or is this just for write signature functionality?
Yeah, so there are a couple functions that are available within ShareFile, including the file drop, which is a way that you're able to pick a user that you want to be able to upload files to, drop off the files to them, and be able to upload it. We include the code to be able to go ahead and embed that into your website. So it's a little bit low code, no code, but most people, have like a website designer they could be able to provide that code to and be able to enter it in. There's also an option for a remote upload form, which can also be embedded in that same functionality, as the file drop. They can actually be incorporated together to go ahead and get some additional information on top of the files, like who's uploading, some more notes, and just allow an easy way.
Awesome. All right, so going back to Louis, what happens if our files are infected with ransomware? Oh no, can ShareFile help?
Yeah, so ShareFile definitely has your back with that. If you do somehow start uploading, like if you're using the sync tool or something, and ransomware starts getting uploaded into your account, ShareFile has file versioning, and it supports unlimited file versions. So the files will be up there with the little encryption that will actually run a script that will revert all infected files back to a previous version, so that we'll get rid of that out of the cloud.
Yeah. And just to add on to this is Charlie. There's an additional thing that comes with the Citrix Workspace within the analytics platform. It basically is going to go ahead and proactively look for ransomware detection within the ShareFile or content collaboration account. It just looks for a bunch of like Louis was saying, file versions adjusting. So if it sees a large amount, it can notify administrators during the process to go ahead and allow them to make a proactive approach to go ahead and either disable the user through AI and just make things a little bit more automated from that end to help get to the resolution quicker.
Awesome. I know that's a very hot topic these days with all the cybersecurity attacks and everything, so good to hear. Next up, going back to Charlie, my company has an S drive, so it looks like the Citrix files for Windows changed the drive letter when we installed it. Is there a way that I can decide which drive letter it uses?
Absolutely, and this touches a little bit on what Mike McAndrew had mentioned earlier about the ADMX and ADML files Those are basically group policy template files. And so you can be able to go in and be able to create some custom registry keys through a graphic user interface. It's going to go ahead and allow you to go in and make adjustments, so you can lock in either a specific drive letter for your main Citrix Files for Windows account. So if you're already using the S drive, you could mark it as a different letter. But on top of that, like you mentioned with the mount points, you can also be able to create multiple drive letters. So that way it's going to go ahead and allow you to, if you want to present a network share as a drive letter, or OneDrive for Business as a drive letter, or maybe just a specific folder somewhere in your account, it gives you the ability to do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Charlie. And we only have a couple questions left in our queue. So if you do have a question to submit, go ahead and drop that in now so we make sure to address it before the end of the session. So next up, we'll send one to Michael. What is the best practice for uploading data in bulk to ShareFile?
For uploading large sets of data, we always recommend using the ShareFile data migration tool. This tool is built specifically for this purpose, so we always recommend using it if you have a large set of data to upload to ShareFile.
Yeah, I think it supports like the 50,000 subfolder structure and 3 terabytes of data per job.
Yep.
So it makes it really easy to push that data up there and schedule it, and if you want to do it in off hours to save some of that performance while people are working, you can do it at night.
I'll expand on that a little too. We don't have that available for Mac yet, so in a Mac shop, what I've recommended to customers is FTP or maybe even Citrix Files or another application, but the migration tool is coming for that too in the roadmap.
Awesome. Where would I find that tool?
So that's found in the ShareFile knowledge base article. So if you just weirdly, I'm going to say Google Citrix Files migration tool. It's going to be the first result that shows up, and then there will be a link within that article so you can be able to go download it.
Awesome. All right. Well, last question, unless we have any latecomers, we'll wrap it up with Charlie. Should I use the ShareFile user management tool or the ShareFile user management tool with policy-based administration? I can only get one to work. So what do you recommend?
Love it. Yeah, love a UMT question. So the ShareFile user management tool, or as we call it internally, the UMT, is basically a tool that allows you to provision users based on their status in AD from a security group or an OU. So that way you can be able to provision these users directly from AD to ShareFile, as well as maybe if somebody leaves the company or gets disabled, you can also disable them in ShareFile. I always recommend setting up, it utilizes Task Scheduler, but I recommend a 5-minute scheduled task, so that way it's constantly running and can run indefinitely. As far as the question, there are 2 different types. The first one is the one that we've always had, and it basically goes ahead and just provisions and disables users. The new one, which is the ShareFile user management tool with policy-based administration, leverages some additional functionality where you can create policies on your ShareFile account based on the user types. So you can be able to provision out, user permissions, file and folder management permissions, and then also storage location policies. And that is something that you would need to reach out to one of your, contacts at Citrix, or if you just want to reach out to the Citrix support team, it's going to go ahead. They can go ahead and turn that feature on, and then it'll go ahead and allow you to use it. If that feature is not turned on, that user management tool won't work on your specific account. So you will need to reach out, either open up a case or just give them a call, and they can be able to assist you.
Yeah, and to expand on that a little bit, as long as you're on an enterprise level account, that feature is free. There's no additional cost. So if you try to install it and it's not working because it says policy-based administration isn't enabled on your account, just open up a support ticket or reach out to your your Citrix contact, and we can turn that on the back end of the account for you.
Yep. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, that is a wrap. So thanks to all the presenters and to Charlie for being, all the panelists and Charlie as the presenter. Keep an eye out. We will have a blog write-up coming soon, and then the on-demand video will be available at the bottom of the registration page. And then make sure to join us next month. We're going to switch it up a little bit and just do a generic cloud Q&A with a short presentation with some extra tips and tricks. So that's going to be on October 30th and should be live on the registration page in the next 30 minutes or so. So thanks everyone so much for joining, and for all the panelists again for your participation, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your week. Thanks so much.